we're going to talk about what the Russians have done in Ukraine today. If you don't know me, my name is Darren Gertis. I'm a management professor who's built multiple leadership programs at Charleston Southern University. We're going to look at this through the lens of leadership. I also wrote a book. It's called I Need Ammunition, Not a Ride, and you can find it on Amazon. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, it's Sunday, the 22nd of May. Martial law has been extended until August 23rd. So that's a 3 month extension of martial law. It was extended 3 months ago. Remember, the invasion was on February 24th. And by the way, August 23rd is when martial law should finish. August 24th is Ukrainian Independence Day. And they weren't doing that trying to have a show of on Ukrainian Independence Day it'll be over. It was just a happy coincidence. It's just a 3 month extension from today. Zelensky estimated. Now this is really telling about what's going on in Ukraine. That between 50 and 100 Ukrainian servicemen are killed each day in the fighting. Now that's pretty amazing. That's just killed. That's not wounded. There could be hundreds wounded for each one. For the 50 to 100 that are killed. Now, if you use these numbers, somewhere upwards of 9,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed in action since the invasion began. Now, and that's probably not far from the reality. It might be more than that. It might be a little less. I don't know. The Ukrainian government hasn't released official statistics, but you just using his parameters of upwards of 100 a day, you're looking at something like that. Now, according to a Time magazine report, it was published about a week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. Ukraine's defense ministry again is not releasing combat casualty numbers, but experts believe it's lost somewhere around 25,000 troops. That's both killed and injured, and the injuries are going to be a multiple of killed. So, if there was 100 killed, there might be 400 injured simultaneously. Okay, and so it's and the Time report also said up to about 11,000 deaths and maybe 18,000 wounded. That's their estimate. Now, that's a lot smaller than Russia's casualties, which are believed to be over 35,000. Now, if you believe Russian reports, it's going to be just a tiny little thing, like maybe a few thousand. No, it's much more than that. Now, Ukraine's army general staff has also argued that there are more than 29,000 Russian soldiers killed. That might be ground truth or it might be inflated. I'm going to assume that it's a little inflated, but yeah, it's safe to say by any means that the Russians are getting the worst end of the deal, military on military. Now Ukraine's getting the worst end of the deal in just sheer destruction. I mean, their buildings are destroyed. I mean, 14 million people have fled the country. I mean, it's bad all the way around. But as far as killing off the military, Ukraine seems to be getting the better end of the deal. The According to the UK Ministry of Defense, in the first 3 months of its special military operation, Russia has likely suffered a similar death toll to that experienced in the Soviet Union during 9 years in Afghanistan. Now, I can't tell you how important this is. 9 years in Afghanistan, they have the same number of people, of soldiers killed as they have in 3 months in Ukraine, which means that it is 36 times more lethal, maybe even a little bit more lethal for a Russian soldier to be fighting in Ukraine than it was to be fighting in Afghanistan. And that's a very powerful thing. Okay, Ukraine is again destroy a pontoon bridge that the Russians build to ford the Seversky Donetsk River. Now, if they can get across this river, if they can get their soldiers and their equipment across this river, it's going to be real trouble for the Ukrainians because they're trying to get across this river and then encircle the Ukrainian army that's trying to hold back encroachment in to capture all of Luhansk. All right. And then finally, when a Russian missile landed in the Samara River, this was kind of funny. The governor mocked them and saying a rocket hit the Samara River. People were not injured. Orcs, that they called the Russian orcs, like Lord of the Rings, the orcs. Orcs began denazification of Ukrainian fish. And so I thought that was kind of funny. During the day, Zelensky gave a joint speech, and I'm going to end with this. He gave a joint speech with Polish President Duda. I, and I thought this was just awesome. Zelensky talked about friendship and brotherhood. And historically, the Poles and Ukrainians have fought for centuries. The Poles, the Ukrainians, the Turks, the Russians, they all contested the same ground for centuries. And Poles and Ukrainians didn't really get along. But both have experienced Soviet oppression. And because of that, the Poles have been very sympathetic toward the Ukrainians. And Zelensky said this, quote, without realizing it, on February 24th, Russia destroyed something else as well, a kind of repository of past contradictions between Ukraine and Poland. They no longer exist. In a day, it became clear to all that these contradictions have no force when there is the force of such a threat. Now, I thought that was great. And then President Duda also spoke to the Ukrainian parliament, and he told his audience that, quote, Ukrainians are not refugees in Poland. You are our guests. I mean, that's class act, right? And even more classy, President Duda delivered this speech in person in Kiev. He didn't actually do it by teleconference. So that was pretty cool. All right, that's all that we have for today. Thank you for listening. I hope it was helpful for your understanding of what was going on in Ukraine today. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe so that you can see what's going on in future days, or you can go back into our past catalog and see what's happened on previous days. Okay, one more thing. If you were moved by this video and you wish to give to humanitarian aid for Ukraine, there's a link below to Samaritan's Purse. It's a reputable organization that will make sure that the aid gets where it's supposed to go. Thanks for your time.